welcome back. If you're just joining us, I'm doing Handbook for the New Paradigm. We are in volume 2. This book is a 3-volume set. So, Embracing the Rainbow. Those of you who are following along, will be on page 176. We're in session number 13. If you're just joining us, this is a 3-volume set. Volume 1 is already recorded. It is in a separate playlist. You'll find it on the channel. This is volume 2, and we're in the middle of it. So if you like, go back and begin at the beginning. So, when the time arrives that the imposition of the final phases of the lockdown of personal freedoms begins in earnest, there will be resistance. And this is kind of interesting because, like I said, I happen to know these are older, and yet they were the most recent publication, 2018. So even if they were only in 2018, this is prior to anything happening. So very interesting. It continues here, especially in the USA, since of all the humans on the planet, they have been the most deceived, the most pampered, and the most used. Difficult as it is for its citizens to believe, their national development has been guided and controlled from the very beginning. I do believe that is so. The natural, because it's not broken, folks. It's working exactly as it was intended to work. The natural ingenuity and creativity have been encouraged and then turned to advantage or, quote, bought out and shelved. A particularly appropriate example is the continued development of sources of energy and transportation that would end the dependence on oil and coal, which would eliminate the health endangering of both the human body and the planetary flora and fauna. These are available to be developed very quickly in the context of the new paradigm. There is a natural flow of expression that is part of the creative plan. It is what you might call unchangeable programming within the human pattern that remains regardless of what purposeful effort is made to override it. Once a goal or objective is decided upon by a personal choice that seems logical and accompanied by a commitment to that goal, it can and is pursued with all possible intensity, even to the point of giving up the life force to death. Methods of torture can and will cause the person to deny and pretend to give it up, but instead it usually instills it deeper into determination to resume the pursuit of its completion at the first opportunity. This is true for those goals that are both positive and negative in their energy configuration. Thus, confrontational situations are the logical result. The positive impetus is pursued through logic, and the negative experience through inability to apply the law of allowance and control becomes an addictive factor in the imbalance. It is important to comprehend that perfection is the ability to remain in balance in the practice of all the laws of the universe that support the expansive expression of creation. This is a process that gives challenge to participation within what is called eternity. If not for this monumental challenge, eternity could be boring indeed. Intelligence is not confined to the human brain/mind. It is part and parcel of the potentiality that flows through the process of creation. Self-contemplation by any manifested self-aware portion of creation, humanity, for example, with a basic understanding of who and what they are in correlation to the expansive flow of creation, can transcend and remove limiting understandings. This then opens the awareness to the potential of new understandings, changing the experience of that being entirely. I have experienced this myself. In every way, all experience serves the expansive process of each, because creation is at its potential intelligence in pursuit of understanding itself. It is necessary to discern that all beliefs reach a point of limiting the opportunity to evolve. It is then a perpetual process of transcending and leaving behind each and every understanding into greater wisdom. The exception to this is the immutable universal laws that support the process as a whole. At the basis of these changes is always greater understanding of these laws, their utilization, and the wisdom gained through the resulting experiences. Certainly, it would seem logical to the inhabitants of this planet that the time has come to transcend the present experience and change the beliefs that have focused creation into the experience of the future as it sits before them. It is far easier to perceive the situation at hand and change the beliefs to transcend the experience before it comes into complete manifestation. The negative polarity experience is brought about by failure to know, understand, and apply the laws of the universe. You were set upon this planet without them and denied the knowledge of them. Those indigenous groups who were on the planet were learning them through observation of nature. Through the blessing of eternity, all the time necessary, their evolvement was on its way. Now, even these two have been corrupted, unfortunately, through the teaching of the theme that nature is to be subdued rather than to be your teacher. You were denied the knowledge that could have been gained through its contemplation as a holographic example of the laws in application. I have said for the longest time that source is akin to nature. It cannot have persona applied to it. It is not creation itself. This thought thinking within itself is nature, is creation, is at the basis of all. I mean, that feels so huge, right? Is this saying that technology should be abandoned entirely and 7+ billion people should return to indigenous living? That certainly would return the planet to 500 million people quickly through starvation. If living in that way would allow understanding of the universal laws, then it would be a worthwhile experience. However, knowledge of the laws from those who have both advanced technology and understanding is available to help. Consequently, the indigenous alternative would not be necessary. If mankind does not take responsibility to change the present intended scenario, and the planet itself is required to change this situation, then technology will be purged. And if the planet is, quote, is lucky, indigenous populations will again have the opportunity to evolve. And I've said this for a long time. Don't worry about planet Earth. Mama Earth is going to take care of herself. Uh, we are tiny specks in comparison to this planet, and she will shake us off her back as so many fleas off a dog if we don't, get it together, in time. I have always felt that. So it's not back to the book here. The consequences of ignoring this new opportunity to change the story of this branch of humanity that has been literally railroaded onto a path thousands of years long, which has stymied their evolvement, are not pleasant to contemplate. The scenario began through breaking the law of allowance and interfering with the evolvement of other humans and requiring them to remain stuck in, quote, being rather than becoming. The consequences to those through the law of attraction, what you give is what you get, was left for it to work in its inevitable way. No other group was willing to interfere except in a inevitable way. No, wait a minute. Except in a benevolent advisory capacity, which is all that is allowed within the intelligent application of the universal laws. Intervention between species and planets does happen and is admitted here. However, the law of attraction absolutely works, but within the flow of divine order. The timing is left to the natural flow of that law within the intelligence of creation. To stretch the law of allowance and interact beyond the advisory capacity is carefully done with much consideration with regard to far-reaching possible effects. This may be extended particularly when a group is evolved enough to ask for help specifically. The outcry to creation itself by enough of the population is answered by offers to help by specific groups. However, if the asking group is so closed as to be unable to recognize the offers, then nothing can be done. In this case, the outcries for help have been of such duration, and the imbalance of the purposeful negative perpetrators is so great. The whole galaxy is now focused on this small planet, and orders have been issued to, quote, find a way to answer the outcries, end quote. This Earth's population is being presented with the current process and the current messages within the presently available communication proliferation. It is our prayer that it will be enough and in time. Well, that's quite interesting. Today is September 20th, 2023. In 2 days' time, it will be the Libra equinox. And we are entering eclipse season. And I have often said that we all channel our divinity, and many are bringing forth very similar experiences and relating and sharing their things that are very similar in nature, different puzzle pieces of the whole. And I feel like this is what that's referring to. That's the end of number 13. We'll be right back with number 14. I hope you'll stay tuned.